Hey everyone, Mitch coming up with the Commander Score Studio, bright and early. Welcome to the show. So, okay, this is a bit ridiculous, Wizards. It's just, you know, okay, I did have an episode yesterday where I talked about 2 new cards that are absurdly pushed, but now we've got a commander that is just, it's hard to argue against this being just incredibly broken and probably going to be a problem. I mean, the rules committee's got to be on this right away because this is the type of card that can just cause some issues. And, all right, let's just jump into it. So, Omnath is back apparently. Okay, story-wise, lower mages out there, please let me know in the comments below what in the world is going on. Yeah, because I didn't really follow what happened up with Omnath, you know, after the whole Phyrexia thing and 5-color Omnath. But now we apparently have 6-color Omnath, basically, okay? So we've got Omnath, a 6/6 legendary creature elemental for Wooburg plus colorless. So again, kind of like 6 different mana symbols, now very clever. Omnath, Locus of Eternity, and with a cowboy hat. Lovely. Indestructible, Ward 6. So... okay, I mean, that just seems kind of redundant at that point. Like, okay, indestructible. Ward 6 is basically just hexproof at a certain point, right? Like, good luck to opponents ever paying 6 to target this with anything. Good luck. So this is nearly unstoppable. Yeah, basically. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. You may choose new targets for the copy. A reminder that a copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. On top of that, whenever an opponent casts a spell, populate. Okay, so this, I mean, either one of those things would already just be absolutely absurd. Like any of these things, essentially. Again, like we have ourselves a commander that is a 6/6 for 6 mana, so I guess that's the one thing they probably got right when it came to power level. I mean, I guess these days, like, right, you'd expect, like, for 6 colors again. I'm calling it 6 color, even though, like, technically colors is not a color. I know out there, but still, like, you need a colorless mana symbol. So I guess the one saving grace of this card is that you need to be able to, well, fix your mana. But, I mean, we all have resources, you know, no matter what your budget is, essentially, to fix your mana. I've had plenty of 5-color decks that can fix their mana plenty good by the time you need to actually play this, including for that colorless mana symbol, which, yeah, also, if you want to go with mana rocks, too, there's certain mana rocks, like the talismans could help out with that, too. Regardless, you've got a 6/6 indestructible with Ward 6. It's very likely never going to be off the board. Like, you get this on the board, it is going to be incredibly difficult for your opponents to ever deal with this because basically you need, I mean, I guess an Edict effect could take care of it, but if you have other things in play, then you're fine if you have the Omnath, if you're the Omnath owner, I should say. But also, like, yeah, you need the things that don't target or Edict effects, essentially, is the only ways to really get rid of this. I mean, Edict effects don't target, so there we go. That's redundant, too. So it's already really hard to deal with. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it, except the copy is legendary, choose targets for the copy. Basically, it's a better, I always mess about to say the name, so I'm sorry on this. Miriam, whatever the dragon is, it's like, hey, dragons. This is basically that, but for all your spells, not just dragons. It's like, no. Every spell you cast. So, instant sorceries, obviously, those copy, and that's an absurd amount of value, but also any other spell, again, if it's a permanent, you get a token copy of it. And if it's a legendary permanent, again, kind of like Miriam, you are getting a non-legendary copy of it, which means that that's staying in play, and then you also get to, well, get a token copy of it, which can be easily used and abused, which already, without any of that last part, right? Without that last part, it would already be a crazy good, probably broken commander, right? I mean, incredibly hard to deal with, and then also every single time you cast something, it's doubled no matter if it's legendary or not. It does not matter. That's crazy. But then the last part is just over the top, like, Wizards, what is going on again? Because whenever an opponent casts a spell, you populate, which, okay, I guess there's a limitation on that where, like, it's only getting you more copies of your creature tokens, but this gives you creature token copies. So, like, unless you're just building, like, if you built this, like, all enchantments, then that wouldn't matter, I guess. I'm not saying enchantment creatures, but if you build this all artifacts, all enchantments, all planeswalkers, all battle, whatever it is, that last part wouldn't matter, I guess, but obviously you're going to build in some creatures, and all of a sudden, whenever opponents cast any spell, you're getting extra copy of whatever the best creature is that you have a token copy of, again, even if that's legendary. So good luck to anyone ever trying to stop you once you get this going in the slightest. So, yeah, this is... I mean, I've heard of power creep, right? I mean, we've seen power creep over the years. We just saw a Hydra yesterday that is clearly power creep compared to what we saw last year with a dragon, right? I mean, like, make sure you check out those episodes, but this is absurd. This is just, I mean, again, the kind of card where, like, if the rules committee banned Golos, good luck with this one, because you're going to have to make a decision on this, like, right away, because you're going to have players who, yes, are really excited about this, and understandably so, because it's a cool build-around effect, I guess, but it's just overly pushed to the point where, yeah, why not play this over basically any other 5-color commander? I mean, except unless you're a player like me who's just like, yeah, do the crazy Garth thing, whatever, I don't know. It's absolutely absurd. It is just, the entire concept of this card is absurd and unbelievable. It's just, Wizards, I keep saying it, Wizards, what are you doing? It seems like, again, over the past couple years, it's like, okay, they're pushing things here, pushing things there, pushing things a bit too far in some ways, pushing things with products a bit too ways. But then with this, it's like, yeah, we know that this will sell. We know that this is going to be a giant sale driver. Like, people are going to have to come to Outlaws at Thunder Junction to get this. They're going to have to, yeah, because we've got the new Omnath, which every player is going to want to build around, essentially, right? And not understand maybe potentially, if they're a newer player, like, just like the problematic nature of this card. Because of just how absurdly pushed it is and how probably just unfun it's going to be to play against, right? Because, I mean, obviously, if you're an opponent, you try to do absolutely anything, you're also putting yourself behind because you're like, okay, I cast a spell to try to stop that. Oh, okay, cool. I get a copy that's token of this one. No, I do something else. Play something else. Go ahead. All right, copy tokens of that one. It's absurd. Okay, so yes, I am going to be doing a quick take on this one, talking about budget buys and price of your picks. In case you do want to build around this, this is one that I will urge you. Please, 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 you need to ask your play group first. Or those of you LGS, whoever you're playing with, you have to ask them. Because this thing is way too pushed. To the point that, again, I can definitely see players sitting down at a table, and it might be feel bad for you, but I'm sorry at this point. Like, if you sit down at the table with Omnath Locus of Eternity, you need to expect that there might be someone that says, I'm not okay to play against that. Like, I'm just not okay to play against that. So, you need to, and this one's kind of commanders where you need to be respectful of the rest of the table. You need to ask ahead of time. And yeah, ask your play group if they're okay with you playing this before doing anything about this. Or doing anything about this, like getting cards for it, essentially. So with that, and also I guess there's also a guide to what to look out if you're playing against, or if you're playing against this commander, what to look out for, because what kind of crazy things you can do with this. Even just base level things you can do with this are crazy. So with all that said, let's jump into the budget buys and the price of your picks. Again, all these cards are going to be a cardless link in the description below. This is ridiculous. First up, the budget buys. Cards that are less than $1, unlike this brand new commander. This brand new commander is definitely not going to be under $1, being a mythic that's absurdly pushed. Here we go. Sundering Growth. An instant for Selesnya. Selesnya, destroy target artifact or enchantment, then populate. So here's the thing. Again, throwing additional populate effects in here are just going to be like icing on top of the cake. This is going to be easy pickings for you because, again, this is a 2-mana removal spell, right? And like, okay, 2 mana destroy an artifact or enchantment. There's other removal spells out there that are more flexible than that, essentially, or like exile, essentially. But this is like, oh, by the way, also populate. So with this, again, with this commander, every single time you cast a spell, you're copying it. So you get 2 copies of this, destroying 2 artifacts and or enchantments, essentially, for just 2 mana, but also you populate twice. So now all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that creature token copy of whatever absurd creature token I have in play. Yeah, let's just get that once and twice. And now I've got, for 2 mana, again, destroy 2 things, make 2 copies of your best creature on the board, essentially. Gross. Next up. Growing Ranks. Yeah, these kind of like repeatable populate effects are even better with this kind of a commander because, again, you get twice the value. Growing Ranks, achievement for 4 mana, 2 in Selesnya. Beginning of your upkeep, populate. So again, you get a token's copy of a creature token you control. So yeah, again, you play this, you get a token copy version of this. So on your next upkeep, you populate twice. Every single one of your upkeeps, you're populating twice. You just get one absurd. All you need to do is cast one creature. One creature that has like an impactful ability, an impactful ETB, a game-changing anything essentially on it. And all of a sudden, on your next turn, you're getting 2 extra copies of that every single time because every single creature that you cast, you are getting an extra copy of that. That's a token that you can then populate. Oh, goodness. Okay. Some examples. Very easy, budget-friendly examples. Carter Doom Scourge, 4/3 Demon Berserker for 4 mana, and Rakdos enters the battlefield until your next turn. Creatures opponents control attack each combat if able, attack a player other than you if able. Basically, like a better goad in a way, because this is like counting for creatures, I believe, and correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong on this, rules lawyers out there, but this also takes into account any creatures that come into play after this ability happens. So, like, okay, like, until my next turn, any creature comes into play and it's hasty, so, like, it still has to be goaded, basically. So they all have to attack. So, again, you play this. I mean, getting an extra copy right away doesn't really matter all that much, except for the, hey, whenever an attacking creature dies, you don't lose 1 life, you gain 1 life. So, like, doubling up that drain effect is nice. But also, again, it doesn't matter that you're not getting, like, the ETB twice. That matters to start, because essentially on every single time your opponents cast a spell, they're just resetting this. If that's the one that you want to copy, or again, if you have another populate effect, if you've got growing ranks plus this, you're never going to get attacked until it's a one-on-one situation. But yeah, basically, like, on your opponent's turns, if you haven't gotten this trigger yet with that trooper on the table, if they cast something, the rest of them can't attack. They're not going to be able to attack, essentially, you ever again. Absurd. When it comes to value, too, like Tattoo of Mythic Druid. Okay, yet another uncommon commander. My goodness, this was never near uncommon. 3/3 Merfolk Druid for 5 mana in Simic. Whenever a land enters battlefield under control, you gain 1 life, draw a card. Already an absurd commander. Now you get 2 of this. I mean, I say commander, but like card in the 99 of this deck, obviously. You get 2 copies of this. You play the one, you get the copy of the other one, and all of a sudden, every single time any land comes into play under your control, any land, you draw 2 cards, gain 2 life. The 2 life, whatever, but like, that's nice to pad your life total, but 2 cards per land is absurd. You play an Evolving Wilds, you crack it, all of a sudden it's 4 cards in your hand. Gross. You play a Rampant Growth, which again gets copied thanks to your commander. Doubles up those landfall triggers as it is. You're getting 4 cards drawn for playing 1 ramp spell that costs 2 mana. You play like an Explosive Vegetation type spell, like, Migration Path or whatever, essentially. That's, copying twice, giving you 2 lands, copied once. That's 4 lands in total. That's draw 8. Draw 8, gain 8. Gross. Okay, next up. Yeah, more draw, right? You've got the mana with this kind of deck, right? You're gonna have to ramp, right? You're gonna have to, at least again, you have to set up a little bit, right? With this commander, you have to actually get the mana in play that you need to get this commander out. So again, that is, I guess, the thing where it's like, well, it's balanced because you have to fix your mana. Fix your mana is not hard, especially if you build your deck properly. So yeah, ramp properly, and all of a sudden get your commander on, like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. Prime Speaker Zagana. A 1/1 Merfolk Wizard for 6 mana in Simic. Enters the battlefield. The X counter is on Rex the greatest power. One of the creatures you control enters the battlefield. Draw cards equal to its power. Again, you're getting an extra copy of this. At the very least, with your commander, it's like you're drawing, above 10 cards, right? What is it? 6? So 7, because it's going to be +1 counter. Yeah, anyways. You're drawing a lot of cards just for very simple, easy things with this. And again, every single time you populate, you're going to be making bigger and bigger creatures, essentially. Versions of this, drawing even more. So it's a simple populate effect, draw more. Or an opponent casts a single spell. Cast a single spell. You're drawing like 8+, right? Goodness gracious. Absolutely absurd. I mean, the card draw on this, like, I just keep going into this because, like, you're going to have weird card draw engines, I'm sure, with this kind of a deck. Because you're like, I'll play this. You might need, like, ways to bring yourself a milling with the amount of value you can get. Garruk's Uprising. Enchantment for 3 mana. So, again, yeah, you can include some enchantments as well, right? It doesn't have to all be creatures. Because, I mean, the creatures is what you can really abuse with the, populate effects. But also, like, enchantments are more protected than creatures. Except for, like, Omnath, which is indestructible. And Ward 6, which is basically hexproof. Enters the battlefield. If you control a creature's power 4 greater, draw a card. Yeah, that's going to happen. Your commander already has 6 power. Oh, by the way, again, you get a token copy of this. So you're drawing 2. So this is, like, 3 mana, draw 2, so like Mold Drifter, basically. But also now that creatures you control trample, double trample doesn't really matter, right? But whenever a creature power 4 greater is battlefield, you control, draw a card. Now, any single time you play any creature spell that has power 4 or greater, you're drawing 2 cards, because again, you get a token copy of it. But also, if your opponents cast any spell, and you have any creature token to play that's got power 4 or greater, you are drawing a card. Actually, no, sorry, you're drawing 2 cards. You're drawing 2 cards every single time. So setting yourself like this is crazy. Garruk's Packulator, this can get even more absurd. A 4/4 beast for 5 mana. Another creature with power 3 or greater is battlefield under control. You may draw a card. Again, you get a token copy of this, so they're going to be seeing each other. You're drawing 2 cards right away. They each have power greater than 3, obviously, or power 3 or greater. And then every single time an opponent casts a spell, you can be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, let's get another token copy of this. Oh, okay, draw 2 more now. Oh, get another token copy of this, draw 3 more this time. Every single time you're getting an extra copy of this, and then you get any creatures coming into play which have a decent amount of power, which yet you're going to have with this kind of a deck. My goodness. Just draw your entire deck. And again, this one's a May. There you go. So this one is a May. Unlike the previous one, this one's a May. So you can essentially just be like, yeah, okay, you know what, I've only got 10 cards left in my library, so I might as well just hold off. I'm going to hold off on the draw. If your opponents can last that long. They definitely won't last long with Warstorm Surge in play, though. Enchantment for 6 mana. This can be finally put your opponents out of their misery with this kind of a commander, okay? 6 mana, enchantment. So at least this costs a good amount of mana, but again, you're getting 2 copies of it, or 1 other copy of it. Creature in the battlefield control deals damage equal to its power to any target. Okay, so let's just picture this, okay? Just, all right, you play this. You get this in play, right? You get a token copy of it. All of a sudden, you have any other creature spell you cast. You're like, oh, okay, I cast creature spell. Oh, okay, cool, I get a copy of that. Oh, looks like I get 4 Warstorm Surge triggers, whatever. So that's like, okay, I got 6 power creature, so, oh, I don't know, 24 damage to your face, essentially. Oh, and if you cast the spell, I'm going to populate my biggest creature token, which is another, however big, again, 6, whatever it is. More damage to your face or your biggest creature or whatever. Yeah, good luck keeping anything on the board or any opponents around when something like this happens. Perhaps the most ridiculous thing, though, and again, why I like this commander probably, I mean, the rules committee needs, and I never say this, but like needs, maybe, I have said it once maybe, but like they need to ban this right away. Okay, they just need to. Because unless I'm wrong in this, and rules lawyers out there, please correct me in the comments below, but like, this is just a lock. Venser, Shaper Savant is a lock, essentially. You just get this in play, the game is over with this commander. A 2/2 Flash Human Wizard for 4 mana in blue. Enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. Okay. Normally this would not be able to be used and abused in the way that it can be with this commander. But again, you play this. You get a token copy of it that isn't legendary. Whenever any opponent casts a spell, you populate. So if they cast a spell, you populate the token copy of this, which again isn't legendary, so you get another one, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I get that ETB. There's that spell on the stack. Let's bounce that back to your hand. Ha ha ha. Oh, cast another spell, bounce it back to your hand. Cast another spell, bounce it back to your hand. Essentially, your opponents are locked. They can do absolutely nothing because every single time they cast a spell, you populate, and when you populate, you get a creature that bounces a spell back to their hand. So unless they have like something with like a cast trigger, like, you know, like, oh, if I cast this creature, then I get this effect. Unless they have a cast trigger, essentially, they get nothing. Ever again, you're locking them out of the game with a very simple, easy to use and abuse combo. You're obviously in colors. You're in all the colors, right? So you can tutor for this very simply, very easily. It's just 4 mana. You get your commander out, you cast this, it's game over. Your opponents have basically no options. And essentially, again, if you've got other ways to populate this, just like on your turn, you can just like, oh, I'll just bounce your lands back to your hand. Okay, keep going, try to play things. Oh, I'll bounce it back to your hand. Try to play things. Yeah, this is going to be obnoxious. Moving on, things can get even more obnoxious, though, with the pricier picks, cards that are above $1 outside of my budget, but might be within yours. Spark Double. Okay, again, like, Spark Double is incredibly powerful with, like, almost any commander out there, right? But this is a bit ridiculous. A 0/0 illusion for 4 mana. Enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker control, except with additional counter on it. If it's a creature, it's additional loyalty counter on it. And it isn't legendary if the permanent is legendary. So again, basically, hey, here's a second copy of your commander. But again, it's not a second copy. It's a second and third copy because you copy it, essentially, when you're casting it. So you get 3 copies of your commander. So that means whenever your opponents cast a single spell, you populate 3 times. And you can populate the Spark Double. So all of a sudden, you are getting just, an explosive curve, math, whatever, essentially, absurd amount of Spark Doubles in play. Have fun with all that math. I mean, I don't think you would want to do that at a certain point because you'd be like, how many Spark Doubles do I get now? And how do I keep track of this? And of course, obviously, with this, I mean, even if you don't make more Spark Doubles with that, every single time you cast a single spell, you make 3 copies of it that are legendary. That's way too much to keep track of. Gross. Okay, so yeah, any kind of like a Spark Double type effect, like Sakashima as well could help too. You know, the whatever, the partner one. Or Renikis's Vile Duplication, those kinds where you can get a token copy of your commander that isn't legendary. Absurd. Okay. Next up, Annoyed Procession. Enchantment for 4 mana. If an effect will create one of our tokens under your control, creates twice the many tokens instead. Any of these kind of like doubling season type effects like this, parallel lives, etc., etc. I like people in the comments below are always like, if I forget to mention like a commander that works with tokens or with counters on it, they're like, you forgot to mention doubling season. It's like, yes, doubling season is a given for any commander out there that basically says like create a token or mentions token or counters or whatnot. But these especially, again, like, hey, again, like you play your parallel lives. Your commander's like, hey, let's make a copy of that. Oh, okay, cool. I have 2 of them now. So anytime I'm going to make a token copy of a spell that I cast, I get 2 more token copies. Gross. So, yeah, this is just absolutely absurd. And again, anytime you populate, you're making extra copies as well. So this just gets out of control in absolutely no time. Terminate Iteration. I love this card. Wish it was budget-friendly. Enchantment for 2 mana in red. Begin combat at your turn. Populate. The token created this way gains haste, sacrifice, begin next end step. Again... yeah, getting 2 of these in play is just lovely. Again, you already have an absurd amount of resources to, you know, choose. You have an absurd amount of creatures that you're going to be playing that can make a token copy because you're commander. So you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's my best one. Cool, I'll get 2 extra copies of that every single turn. Again, use and abuse ETBs with this. Absolutely absurd. Next up, Song of the World Soul, one of my favorite cards of all time. Broken with this commander. I mean, commander's already broken. Everything's broken with it. Chimp for 6 mana, where you cast a spell, populate. Again, you cast this, you get 2 copies of it. Now, not only when your opponents are casting spells are you populating, but now whenever you're casting a single spell, again, you copy it, thanks to your commander, and make a token copy of it, it's a permanent, whatever. But also, you populate twice. You populate twice. So every single time you cast a single spell, you get it twice, and you get 2 more token copies of your best creature out there. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. I mean, Dockside Extortionist, these kind of cards, like, you know, the obviously already like a broken card that the rules committee definitely considered to be banned for a long, long time and ended up not banning it for some reason. A 1/2 Goblin Pirate for 2 mana, enters the battlefield, create extra tokens or extra number artifacts and change your bones control. Already a crazy card in like any deck out there, essentially, but hey, you know what's better than 1? 2. Oh, and also whenever your opponent casts a spell, you can get an extra Dockside Extortionist. So, like, and let's say that there's 10, you know, artifacts and enchantments your opponent's control, which is probably a pretty reasonable number. So it's 10. Cool. Yeah, I get 20 treasures now because I get a token copy of this. Oh, you cast a spell. Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to populate my Dockside Extortionist. I'm going to get 10 more treasures that come into play on tap that I can use right away. Yeah. Seems fair. Next up, Lotus Cobra. I mean, and also something to mention about, like, Dockside and Lotus Cobra. These, like, fixing your mana obviously can really help you out when it comes to getting this commander out. You still need, like, the colorless source. So, again, that's the one thing where they're like, well, we fixed it. We made it so it's harder to cast without colorless. Yeah, sure. 2/1 Snake for 2 mana. Landfall. Whenever a land is battlefield, your control, add 1 mana of any color. Again, Landfall is absurd with this kind of a commander because it's easy for you to get lands in play with the green, obviously, but also, again, like, you get you get 2 copies of this, or you get a copy of it plus this one. So now you get Landfall. Whenever any land comes into play, you're getting 2 mana of any one color, or 1 mana of any 2 whatever. You get 2 mana. So all of a sudden, you play your Volume Wild, you crack it, you get 4 mana. You get 4 mana just for doing that. You play Rampant Growth, you're getting your mana back because you get 2 lands in a play tap. This triggers twice. You are getting... oh, actually, no. You get 4 mana, right? Oh, my goodness. Because, yeah, you're getting 2 lands with that Rampant Growth being copied, and then you got 2 Lotus Cobras, so you're getting 4 mana. So you are literally turning all of your ramp spells into rituals at the same time. It's absurd. Perforos Got the Forge. Again, please, please, please have ways to finish out the game with this kind of a commander just to, like, put your opponents out of their misery. Perforos. Again, already a crazy commander on its own, but, like, in the 99 of this deck, it's like, oh, okay, what's better than 1 Perforos? 2! Make a token copy of it. Because, again, your commander. 6/5, Indestructible God, Devotion red, less than 5. It's not a creature. Again, your devotion is already going to be, like, 2. So you might get there. You might not even want to be a creature. And whenever another creature enters battlefield under control, deals 2 damage each opponent. Now, every single time any creature comes into play, you're dealing 4 damage each opponent, which is absurdly powerful. Again, that's 12 damage in total if you get 3 opponents. But also, again, if you play a creature, oh, guess what? That's 2 creatures then because your commander copies it. So this is going to see... both of these will see that, and all of a sudden you are dealing, what did I say, 12 damage total? So 24 damage every single time you play a creature spell. And then if your opponent's cast any spell, again, you're populating, so you're making another token copy. So you were just going to be dealing out another 12 damage every single time. Absolutely crazy. Terror of the Peaks just reprinted, apparently. 5/4 Dragon with Flying that costs 5 mana. Whenever spells your opponents cast, the target, it costs additional 3 left to cast. Good luck to them ever casting anything that, again, that is going to target this, because they're like, okay, I have to let you populate and then also lose 3 life. Trying to deal with this. Oh, and I did it twice because you've got another one of these because you get a copy of it. Whenever another creature out of your control, Tear the Peak steals damage you like creature's power to any target. So again, this is a Warstorm Surge that you can populate. Yeah, your opponents won't last any long at all with this. Again, like, they keep casting spells. You're like, oh, I get another token copy of this. Cool. Dish out 10 damage. Okay, I get another token copy of this. Dish out 15 damage. Every single time you get a creature into play, just absurd amounts of damage going out. Next up, Hullbreaker. Hey, a 7/8 Kraken with Flash that costs 7 mana. This spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand. Return non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Kind of like Venser, but like not like an auto lock, but I mean, you win if you play this. You just win if you play this commander and you get into play, and you have like any setup at all. But yeah, this you get 2 copies of it again. Can't be countered, so you both can't stop it. Not that they could probably stop it anyways with this deck. Whenever you cast any spells, you get to bounce either 2 spells, which is not likely because there's going to be 1 spell in the stack essentially. So like your opponent casts a spell, you're like, okay. I cast a spell, I bounce that spell out your hand, so you get nothing out of it. Oh, and I also get my other trigger from my other one. I will bounce an outline permanent back to its owner's hand. So I keep bouncing your things back to your hand. You keep casting things that you can't cast. Good luck getting through at all. So yeah, overall, I mean, we've already seen some crazy things this spoiler season, right? We've seen some really push things, some absolutely just, again, like, oh, hey, treasures, haha. No, we fixed it. They come into play tapped. Haha. Sometimes. We fixed it. And other cards that are just crazy, like, oh, let's just double up this, double up that, double up that. Okay, Wizards. But then we get this, which is just like, okay, the rules committee needs to make a decision on this right away. Like literally, you cannot give time for players to build it, because you can't blame for players for building decks around it, right? It's exciting. It does a lot of things. Yes, I can see the appeal to it and how newer players might not see this as a problematic potential commander when they take it to a table. But again, you're going to get players when they take that to the table who are upset and be like, no, I'm not going to play against that. Like, it's an absurd commander that should never been printed. Don't know what Wizards was doing with this one. But, like, it's not going to be a fun game for us if we play against this. So, no. So, again, this is the kind of commander that I urge you again. Please, 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 before you buy anything for this commander, please ask your playgroup first. And also check what day it is, because today is April 1st, okay? Which in some countries is April Fool's Day. So make sure you check that first, okay? With all that, though, make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers. And, of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.